Perfect. Well, we are excited to have you here today. For those of you that I have not met, my name is Alicia Frausto. I'm the director of Bee Experience, and you probably hear my voice in different videos at different stages of the process and in the monthly Buzz updates. Chris, want to introduce?
Yep. Hi, nice to see everyone. I'm Chris Bollig. I'm the head of operations here at BrightBee, and I will hand it over to Laura.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be here and to see you all. I am with the partnerships team representing them tonight.
Awesome. And later today, we might have a guest appearance by our CBO, Michael Lombardo. And if possible, we might also have one of our former bees joining as well. Perfect. And if you are not yet muted, I may mute some people just so we don't have any feedback. Perfect. Okay, and so agenda for today, Chris is going to kick us off with some celebrations and reflections from back to school. Then we'll pass it to Laura to share about how we connect with different schools and organizations to grow and expand our hives. And then I'll share a little bit of a bee spotlight and some of our bees that have gone on to work in education or even with BrightBee as full-time roles. And then I have some app updates and previews for you. And we are here as a Q&A session. So we will have a dedicated time at the end for live questions, but the chat is going. So feel free to type your questions and comments throughout, and we'll be moderating that as well. And so I think we are ready to officially begin. And just to ground us in why we do this work at BrightBee, we have two missions: to help schools provide an environment where students thrive by engaging workers who prosper and grow. And so it's interesting for a company to have two different clienteles, but our goal is always the win-win. What's good for schools is good for you. What's good for you can benefit schools. And I will kick it over to Chris to tell us about how this back to school season has been panning out.
Yep. Thanks, Alicia. So those of you who've attended any of our town halls before, seen our messages, know that we always talk about how BrightBee is still relatively young as an organization. We're about 2 years old, which means that this back to school season that we're currently in is only our second one ever. And so you can see here depicted on the left-hand side of the screen, back to school last year, we only had two areas, apiaries as we call them, that we were operating in. That was the Bay Area as well as Detroit. If you look at back to school 2025, there are a lot more bees on that screen. And so we're very excited to have grown really significantly over the last year. And even since July, have kicked off two brand new hives, and that includes Norristown, which is outside of Philadelphia. And then although we've been in the Bay Area since the very beginning, we actually are in the San Francisco proper, and so have a number of new assignments and partners in that particular region. So very excited to see that geographic growth. And then in addition to that, that's driving this increase in the numbers that we're actually serving. And so I said on our town hall earlier, we are a very competitive group on the BrightBee team. And so we love to break records and see these numbers grow. But really what is at the heart of that for all of us is the impact that these numbers reflect. And so every day this year, we are averaging a much higher number of bees on assignment than we were last year. Our current record is 109, although it's very exciting to announce that we will break that record today. I think today we will land at 115 bees on assignment. And so again, that's part of our impact story. Every single one of you all on site every day, as reflected in these numbers, is having a very direct and meaningful impact with students at those sites. So it's really important for us, and translates into a lot of appreciation for you all and what you're doing on site every day. On that next slide, you can see a huge part of our effort on the operations team is our recruitment effort. And so as we're continuing to grow, we need to bring more and more bees on board, both adding bees to existing hives. So San Jose, which is I think our first, that in Oakland was one of our first hives, has experienced tremendous growth this back to school season. And so even though that's a really robust and our largest hive, we need more and more bees. And then obviously we're adding new hives to the mix. And so going and sourcing bees in new places like Norristown is an incredible effort. And so we have a great recruitment team who works every day to go out and bring in these bees. You can see we've brought on 175 new bees just since July 1st. And one thing that I'm really focused on and proud of as our operations leader is that even as we're growing, we are maintaining a very high level of quality. You'll hear this said throughout the presentation, one of the things that makes BrightBee so unique and what we're so proud of is that the quality and the caliber of person that we are sending onto this site is so high, and it really differentiates us from not a lot of other organizations in this business. And we've really been able to maintain that as evidenced by the feedback. And so we're proud of that, but it's really all thanks to you all who go on site and do a great job every day. A number of notable new partnerships, and Laura's going to tell you all about how we go out and find new partners and what that looks like. I'll just call out one of the things that generally we're focused on is adding new types of partners and new types of assignments, because we know as a bee that makes it really exciting and engaging to work with us when there's different types of roles available for you. And so I'll call out Rainbow Chefs, which you see on the left-hand side there. They're a newer partner for us in the Stockton area in California. They're an after-school program that specifically focuses on nutrition and wellness for children. And so there's a large culinary aspect for that. So when we went out and recruited bees, we looked for folks who are not just passionate about youth and working with children, but also that kind of culinary arts aspect, because they're really helping students learn about nutrition and working in the kitchen. And so again, a bit of a unique twist on an after-school program, but we got great reception from it from both our existing bees as well as new bees that we were able to go out and find. So lots of new things happening there that it's just good for us and for you overall. So then I mentioned this is our second back to school season. Thank you all for sending in these incredible pictures. It's so rewarding for the team centrally to see all of you on site and get to feel, again, the impact that you're having. I think that it's really important that we as a team reflect on, for such a big kind of milestone like back to school, which really is a heavy season for us. Volume ramps up tremendously from the summer. We want to look back and think about what went well and what didn't go well, so that way we can put those learnings to practice and do better for next year. And so just acknowledging one of the things that we really struggled with this back to school season was the app itself. Our product team did work to kind of estimate how much volume was going to increase and what that increased traffic within our app would do. And we thought we were prepared. But lo and behold, some of you may have experienced that there were days where the app was very, very slow and you just weren't able to log in. You weren't able to claim assignments. Check-in and checkout may not be working as expected. And so we've done kind of a full analysis of that and identified how we could have identified that earlier and done better preparing, and then what we also could have done differently when the issues arose to mitigate it more quickly. I think we did okay. It was not out really for more than a day or two, but again, we want it to work perfectly all the time. So definitely something that we noticed and that we're paying attention to. I would also say that something that's just challenging in general is working with our partners to identify when they'll be posting assignments, like when they're coming back to school. We generally know when their school season starts, but a lot of them use that first week or two to get into the groove of things and they're not going to post. But we know for you all, it's really helpful to know, when can I expect to see assignments in the app? When will Detroit be online and when should I be looking for those? So that's something that we're working with our partners on, and just improving that communication flow so we can be very clear with you about when to expect those assignments popping up. And then last, in some markets, especially for our newer bees coming on, clearance processing just takes longer in the back to school season. In most states, you're going through like a state fingerprinting process or a permit process. And what takes 2 weeks in January might take 4 weeks in September, because there's so many people going through that funnel. So we've kind of learned more about what those differences look like, so that way we can set clear expectations with our newbies coming through, and also just plan accordingly. So we know if we need folks ready to start school on September 3rd, we're starting a month out to push everyone through rather than 2 weeks out. And then the last point that I'll make is that on the plus side, what we've learned is that our recruiting team, as we changed our processes and staffed up to be able to bring on twice as many more bees a month as we did last spring, did it in a really great way. Because as I mentioned, we are continuing to hear really, really positive feedback about all the bees on site. The quality comments that we get about you all from our partners is just fantastic. And so that's something that, again, we're very proud of, and something that went really well. And as we continue to ramp up and get even bigger, we're going to look at the things that we did to make that happen in the right way, and we're going to continue to use those going forward, because that really is at the heart of who we are, is finding people who are really passionate and great at working with students and at these sites. And we want to do that, next year and the 20 years after that. So good learnings and something we're all very excited to take forward. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Laura to talk about how exactly we manage all this growth and find it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. So in terms of growing our partnerships, our goal is not to scale across the country as quickly as possible. If that was our goal, we could really do that. It's a very popular concept, but instead our goal is to develop healthier hives. So right now we're in South Carolina, Ohio, Michigan, New York, California, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. So what we're really looking to do is to develop new partnerships with community-based organizations, districts, and charter schools that will provide more diverse experiences for our bees, more different types of schedules, assignments at different times of day. So when you're not working at school district A, you might be gaining experience at community-based organization B or at charter school C. And that's really helping develop the entire community of bees and expanding, that opportunity into our partners so that they gain from your experiences all around. And that's what BrightBee is all about. So how do we do that? We have a Hive development manager, and that's actually her title. And she's on our team, and she's going out trying to find these partnerships, and she's doing it in a not so traditional way. We're not really doing traditional email marketing, and we don't have a marketing team at all. She's doing a lot of phone calling, and we're also going to conferences. I'm going to 4 conferences in the next few weeks myself. We're selecting conferences based on the types of roles that we draw from. So special education. We're also going to school administration conferences, both local, state by state, with those specific states that we're in, and then national, and then after school and YMCA conferences as well. But the biggest way that we grow is through all of you. So we are a people business, and you are really our marketing team. When you go into schools and you light up the room and you are bright bees, you promote what BrightBee is all about. And I cannot tell you how many partnerships we have. We just had another one today that are completely connected to specific bee feedback that is really positive. So you're making a difference, and you're making this work, and you're making the growth possible, which is really wonderful. So I just wanted to share with you that my favorite part of working at BrightBee is the positive feedback I get about our bees every single day. I just love, as an educator, that our bees are supporting schools that are short-staffed and making such a difference with the all of the school staff, the faculty and the staff as well. They're restoring people's faith in others and how one person can make a difference, and also showing how many people out there really care about education and about working with kids. And then I think it's neat the way that our bees are demonstrating versatility. I think sometimes our schools are really feeling strapped, and they see our bees come in and they see their willingness to try new things and learn new things and try one role one day and another role another day. And I think that just livens up the entire environment and is very impactful and inspiring for our partners. Great. So we are growing and we are expanding, bringing on new partnerships every day, which is very exciting. And we are attending conferences. We are becoming a thought leader. We are the only company that is focused on support staff as our core essential value. And we're becoming known for that, which is really exciting. And by the way, I would also add that when we go to these conferences, our bee theme shines. And we are surrounded by other companies that have different things that different themes and kitschy things, but the bees, it just works, and everyone seems drawn to us and what we're doing. So that's really cool. And then we're also always looking to expand and diversify and bring in creative roles. We are talking about bus drivers. We talk with districts every day. I've actually just got an interesting inquiry today about a bus paraprofessional aide for mornings and afternoons, and every single day there are different kinds of things that we're asked if our bees can do, and it's very exciting to see the ways that we can support schools that are new and different and interesting. So the one other thing I wanted to mention is referrals. So getting referred from one district to another, we have a wonderful partner in East Cleveland who's probably provided 5 million reviews for us. Everyone knows her and everyone calls her, and she says she loves BrightBee. So referrals are a big part of how we grow, but our bees can also be referrers. So if you know someone in your community, you know, a community-based organization, an after school, a charter school, or a school district, and you see how BrightBee could impact them in a great way, so they could really use BrightBee, please let us know. You can email us, and I can put it in the chat at partnerships@brightbee.org. Just let us know, and we'll reach out, and we will use your reference as a door opener, and it would be. So we just appreciate all that you do, and it's very meaningful to me. And I just want you to know what a difference that you are making with the work that you're doing every day. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Laura. And it really is emphasizing the every assignment matters. In orientation, we have this visual of like you go once, and building rapport means it expands to more opportunities and more opportunities. Every bee in a hive is doing that for each other. So a really positive impact from one bee in a community can lead to so many more doors open for all of you. And so that's why we have that high bar of high quality, because we only grow together. And so we are excited to be able to share how we're upholding that even as we grow. And so, as you know, many of you are at different stages of the bee journey. When you apply, we consider you a wannabe. You're almost there, you're interested, but once you come to orientation, I see the laughing John. Yes, didn't have enough tech skills to be able to cue Spice Girls at that time. If you want to be my lover, that would be my next step. But once you have come to orientation and you're starting your background clearances is when we consider you a soon-to-be. And we have a dedicated team just to helping you get across the finish line, because as Chris said, it gets more and more complex. Every state we go to, some places it's just a fingerprint, some it's a physical, pulling up high school diplomas and college transcripts. And so we want to make sure we can help you get to that finish line. And then once you officially are cleared to work, then you're considered a newbie. We'll share a little bit more about that process shortly. And then once you have finished those first 10 assignments, our goal is to help you level up. And that could be in changing, just getting more assignments, maybe going from single day to multi-day, more consistent roles, or even trying different types of roles that you maybe hadn't tried. Maybe you did 20 after school assignments and worked with students that had additional needs and said, I think I might want to try para out and be more of a one-on-one aide instead of supervising a class of 30. And then select bees move on in what we call placements in getting hired by our community partners. And so I'm excited to introduce someone shortly named Shanon, who I see is in the room. So Shanon, while I am doing the next part, you can get ready to come on camera. And before we introduce Shanon and her story, I just wanted to see who is in the room. So take a moment if you are able to access that chat box and share what stage of the journey you're in. Are you a soon-to-be that's in the clearance process, working with Power and Matthew to get all those background check pieces in? Are you a newbie, or are you a bee? And if you are a bee, share how many assignments you've completed. Woo, already at 25, John. Congrats. There we go. Amy, nice to see you've done so many already this fall. Yay, Lisa got her first assignment in. Awesome. Got some more newbies. Jasmine, you can check on your dashboard. Woo, Indesia, 150. One of our very first Detroit bees and our first Michigan bees from when we just started in April 2024.
I know,
Woo,
Jasmine, I was
Paula,
excited to see you jump on that Detroit Achievement Academy role today. That was their first posting for the year. So I was excited that
Yay.
you helped get that covered.
Paula V here with 245 assignments. She's almost at that top tier of bonus payout. So it is possible. We have multiple people that are at that 40% bonus. Awesome. Well, now that we know who's in the room, I want to formally introduce Shanon. Shanon joined us as our very first, I think, one of 2 Oakland bees. Back when we started our second hive, we were established in San Jose, and we decided to go to Oakland, California. And in that school year, 24-25 school year, she completed 79 assignments. And like the stories we've told, started off a single day, tried a few different assignments, and then pretty soon a multi-day came up. And then her entry into the Yuming Charter School was actually, there was, and Shanon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was a teacher that was either going on maternity leave or changing roles, and they were going to have an absence for the rest of the year. And they had never used BrightBee for that level of special education support before. And so we did a 2-week trial. Shanon did fantastic. And pretty soon that 2-week trial turned into the remainder of the school year, where she was even driving between 2 different school sites across town. And then after that BrightBee assignment finished, she was hired by the school. So Shanon, are you here with us if you're able to unmute? There you are.
Yes, I'm here for you all.
Perfect. Would you like to
Fine.
share a little bit about your story and what life is like now that you are on the other side of things as a full-time staff member?
Yes, so it's a lot like Alicia said before, as you guys can see in the presentation. Before becoming a BrightBee, I was an Amazon delivery driver. But prior to that, I worked with kids for about 8 years, and then I took a small little, what I would call a small little break, but it had been about 10 years. And I decided that I wanted to come back and work with kids again. I knew that was my passion. Every job that I had before then, I didn't really care for. So I applied for BrightBee and I got hired. I did a few sub positions, and then later on, Alicia offered me the opportunity to come to Yuming as a long-term sub, as someone was transitioning out of their role. It did start as a 2-week trial, but within the first 2 weeks, they knew that they wanted to keep me here. I showed up every day. I did my best. I became familiar with the staff, became familiar with the students. It's been a long journey, but it's been a great journey. This would be my second school year with them, my second full school year with them as an instructional para-educator. We also have a couple other employees now that were BrightBees as well. The best experience or the best advice that I can give anyone who may be looking for something long-term is just to show up and make sure that you're dedicated to the students, help the staff out. They really appreciate it.
That's fantastic. Well, we are so blessed to be able to hear your story live. Thank you so much for joining us. It's nice to see you. It's been a little while. And if anybody has questions for Shanon, feel free to start threading them in the chat. We'll address them throughout the Q&A. But it is great to celebrate and hear success stories. And I love that story of kind of almost finding a home again, not giving up, not ruling out working with kids, but really just trying things out until you found your home. So thank you so much for being here. I also wanted to, of course. I also wanted to spotlight a slightly different success story. Some of you that are in South Carolina, Michigan, Ohio may have interacted with Matthew during the clearance process. Matthew joined as a Detroit Bee in April 2025, and he completed a few assignments, operations, para roles, and then we were at the time needing more support. We could picture the summer and fall back to school ahead, and that we were going to need to bring on so many hundreds of newbies. And we were expanding our operations team on the supply side. And so Matthew applied, realized that he had great skills from other jobs that he's done with hiring and recruitment. And I got a chance to talk with him yesterday. And the thing that I asked him was, do you miss being able to help in the schools? And whenever you are no longer working in a school setting, as many of us are, where we're a little bit more behind the scenes, you do miss that interaction and just the laughter and the joy. But his impression was, it was great helping one student a day as a one-on-one aide, but by helping hundreds of bees get cleared to work, who then can help hundreds more students, the impact was really there. And so he's fueled, even though his day is going through the messiest processes of checking fingerprints, waiting on states to reveal information that is so slow moving. It is fun to see how even if you are using your current assignments in education as a foot in the door, you might find your way supporting youth in a different way, just like many of us have had. And so that is Matthew's story. Next, I'm going to share a very quick preview of what's coming soon. And these are some app updates that are planned to come out this fall. Newbie feedback actually was launched last week. For those of you that are in your first 10 assignments, our administrators are prompted to share feedback about your performance. And this is an opportunity to shine bright and get that positive rapport very, very early on. Every assignment counts. And so the things that they are asked on this survey is, how would you rate how personable the bee was, how professional the bee was, how engaged they were? And this is just good tips. Laura said it. We already know that you represent high quality, and you may be trying an assignment or a school that is brand new. Even if you've never done that particular skill set, these soft skills are probably what we hear more often than not as positive feedback. They asked good questions. They jumped right in. They got on the kids' level, and they didn't wait for instructions. They just took initiative and mimicked what they saw the other staff members. You have all been there, if you've been a newbie or a bee so far, that the days that they're most strapped for support at schools is probably the same time that that person who usually would train you on what to do, that person might be out. And so it takes a special personality to jump right in and say, I'll figure it out. And I may not know now, but after recess, I'll figure out a little bit more to get to lunchtime. After lunch, I'll figure out a little more to get to the end of the day. And so these are some tips for shining bright. Also coming soon is going to be our availability survey that is going to be in the app. Currently, it is a Google form. We email it to you on Sundays, and it really helps the support team help send information for when there are assignments that match your qualifications. We have 115 bees out on assignment. Today, it's getting to the point where we can't do all of that as a small but mighty team. And so the app is really going to be where the technology helps us with that. And so it's going to look similar to the current Google form. You'll go through each week. You'll click out your availability for the week ahead. I'm available school day on Monday. I'm only available after school on Tuesday. Free in the evening we have some custodial roles that go after school till like 10 p.m. Or days that you're not free. And this will help recommend the assignments that have people that match. So it'll help. The more you fill this out, the more opportunities you will have for assignment matches, to be notified of those assignment matches. And the way I like to describe that is, if you've ever played the game Guess Who, where you're trying to figure out who by asking a series of questions, is every assignment, let's say Detroit Hive, the first pass would be all the bees that have selected Detroit Hive in their profile. But really, depending on the role, there's a fraction of the bees in that hive that are qualified for that particular role. And then if you think about their availability, a fraction of that percentage is actually available that day. And that leaves us with the one glowing match to get to the school on a very short notice. And so the more we can get that information up front, the easier it is to be able to get you the work you're looking for and get the schools the support that they need. And then the last thing that's going to be coming soon and later this fall is also bee-specific requests. Last year, when bees like Shanon were requested by name, it was just put in the description box, and anybody that was also in that hive had to scroll past it because it was almost like, oh, sorry, this one's for Shanon again. I'm not Shanon. And so we took that to heart. We have restructured the app so that that bee that's requested gets first look before it even goes on available assignments. And so we'll share more information about how that works in particular and what those time markers are, but you'll get the option to accept or decline. Last reminder before we go into our Q&A is we have other events coming up soon. We have our Hive Hangouts, which is a virtual casual event. I see John was here and Jorge was here, Crystal was here. We had a few people that were on the call today stop by last month, and it's just a conversation. There's no slideshow, there's no set agenda. It's just a chance to share scenarios. What would you do if? We talked about dealing with class clowns that are trying to steal the attention from the adult in the room, or Crystal's here shared about showing up to a school where all the students spoke Spanish and she didn't speak Spanish. We talked about different strategies for working with English learners. And then we also have some in-person events coming up soon. So if you're in California, check that same Eventbrite link so that we can meet you in person, and we'll host more events across the country throughout the school year. And so that is going to take us to our Q&A. Before I launch us on our Q&A portion, we have another special guest. Mr. Lombardo is here. Thanks for joining. Would you like to share anything before we get into questions?
Well, thanks for letting me be here. Thanks to those of you who joined us. I know for some of you it's been a long day. You did an assignment, then you came to the town hall. We appreciate you being part of the community. And are just grateful for all that you contribute to our Hive every single day. It's been a fun back to school season for us. It's full of surprises. That's the nature of what we do working with schools. There have been some Hives where we've had a lot more assignments than we thought we would have, and Chris and her team are scrambling. Stevie's on this call, but no. Chris and team are working really hard to get newbies quickly cleared and ready to go in those places. And there are Hives that have had less than we thought they would. And Laura and her team are getting out of bed every day, working hard to try to get those schools to post more assignments, as am I. And so just know that we are always striving for what we call homeostasis, where it's exactly as much work as bees want, and enough that schools feel good about their clearance rate. But it's like we have to kind of dial it in every fall because what schools do surprises us sometimes. So we're in that dialing it in phase, and we appreciate your patience if you're feeling a little disappointed with the amount of assignments that are available to you. But I do know from what I'm hearing, both from bees and from schools, that when those matches happen and bees are going out to the buildings, you are making a huge difference in those schools. And you are brightening the students' day. You are saving like some serious butts on the staff side. And everyone's just having a better day thanks to you. So really appreciate all that you contribute, like I said, and yeah, eager to hear what questions you guys have.
Awesome. So we're going to have about 5 minutes for questions. And these are going to be more general questions. If you have like clearance or status questions, you can save that for after. I can help steer you in that direction. And 2 ways to share. Feel free to put it in the chat and we'll spotlight it. Or if you want to raise your virtual hand or real hand, then we can have someone go first. Any questions or comments? Yeah, would it be possible to share more of the feedback with us? Be really motivating and empowering to know we're doing well and where we can grow. Right now, the newbie feedback that I showed you is set for newbies. And so sorry that that wasn't there during your first 10 assignments for those of you that are beyond that. But this is kind of our testing ground. That's the fun part about piloting things is if that works really well, then there might be a future state where we have where we turn on the feedback feature for more bees or more types of assignments, or even feedback about the school when it's a new partner and we want to find out more information. So yes, we hope to. And if we do get any specific feedback, we do like to share that with you. Great question, Jasmine. App questions. Crystal, want to unmute or share?
Yeah. The multi-day, and maybe I missed the training on it. The multi-day assignment. I seen something in the app. Now it looked like it was qualified for somebody else, but the multi-day assignment. I think I seen 2 things. One, I want to know the amount that's showing. Is that a daily amount or is that the total amount? Then I seen additional amount. So I did the math and I'm like, okay, is that extra money added to them doing back to back? I don't know. I seen $12.50 and then I seen $2.04, I think it was. And so I'm like, is they saying that per day, or is that the combination of 2 days?
Great question. In the app, on when you're claiming the assignment, you will see the pay rate. And even if it's a multi-day, 5-day-a-week assignment, it'll display that day's rate. And so when you click on, I think it says view details or more info or something like that, it actually has a breakdown, which shows the hourly rate. If there's any additional bonuses, like if it's multi-day, sometimes there's an extra $12 or something like that. Sometimes there's, it shows your multiplier rate if you are getting a 10%, 15, 40% bonus. And so all of that information is there. And Crystal, I'm happy to look at any particular assignments and show you where to find that information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So a question about
yes.
getting a native app developed. I know that's
Great.
it comes up with bees a lot. So it is currently on our roadmap. And I say currently because things can change very quickly at BrightBee, as some of you have learned. But right now it's on our roadmap for next summer. So next summer we'll release a mobile native app. So you can go into the App Store and download it. There'll be a lot of cool features that we can't do currently that we can do with a mobile app, like send you push notifications. We can make it easier for you to communicate with schools. We can do a geofence check-in and check-out, so we can know your GPS location. So no longer will you have that darn QR code. You can actually just check out at the school, and we'll be able to GPS tag your phone and know that you were at the school when you did it. And so it'll be great. There'll be a lot of improvements to it, but it's not a trivial task to build both an Android and an iOS native app. So right now, the plan is to release it next summer.
And the complexity that both bees and school administrators and our internal team all use for different functions. Yeah, a little complex, but we have a great team that is excited. We're excited for that day too, Amy.
Yeah, and there will still be a web application. So that'll be like those of you that like to use it the way that it is now, or for administrators, because they tend to use it more on computer, like a laptop, than on their phone. And so there'll still be a web version as well. But yeah, it'll be a whole new world.
Laura, do you want to share anything about Michigan status and any partnerships on deck for Detroit?
I think I mentioned earlier that we have a Hive development rep, and that is on the top of her list, Michigan, and then also in Charleston. Knowing that we have a lot of bees, we have more bees there that would like assignments right away. Yeah, we're talking to new Michigan partners every day, and we just brought on 2 new Charleston partners. They're small, and then we have Boys and Girls Club Low Country starting any day now, and then every day we're looking for others that would be a good fit for our bees.
Yeah, awesome. And indeed, the Detroit schools, as you know, are just kind of getting back in the swing of things. So we're about a month ahead in California, that and now BrightBee is becoming top of mind again in Michigan. And so I think it'll start to snowball where we see more as well.
Yep, and some of you know a lot of schools have what they call blackout days for the first week of school. So when a teacher calls out, they can use a sick day and still get paid, but if they call out on a blackout day, they don't get paid for the day. And so usually there's not a lot of absences in those first couple weeks of schools, depending on what their policy is around blackout days. And they'll also usually start the year with a couple of their own subs they can kind of put in when they don't need us, and then attrition will start to kick in. So it's wonderful to see you, Indy. Indy is one of our OG Detroit bees. Yeah, just know that I bug Laura every day. Michigan's my home state, man. So I bug Laura every day. I'm like, when am I going to see more Detroit assignments? When am I going to see more Detroit assignments? And so we are working on it.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Lauren.
Do we usually have, like, I've been looking for the afternoon, like for more assignments, but like kind of like in the payroll role. Do they usually come like for outreach programs, Because there was one week where I did go like in the afternoons, and that was great because they looked like for like an after school program. They looked for a kid who needed help. So I went that almost the whole week. I think I went for 3 days. Yes.
Yeah. So Jorge, we see that right now you're in more San Jose area. We see that a lot up the peninsula and in San Francisco. So if you are willing to commute at all or take a morning assignment in San Jose, we have some bees that do one assignment in one part of the Bay Area and then take another assignment in after school hours in San Francisco. There is a high need for after school and para
There is?
combined. Yeah, so you can always, this is a good plug, everybody can see more assignments, even if it's not your everyday commute. If you're like, I'm not seeing anything in my current region and you have multiple neighboring hives, you can always go to your profile and select more hives to see what other assignments are there in other parts of the state.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, great. For time, if you have any additional questions, I'll hang around for another minute afterwards. But in closing, I told you that 45 minutes was going to go by super fast. Great questions. In August, we did have 2 raffles going on. And I wanted to celebrate all of the 45 bees who took the Welcome to Substitute Teaching course. It's a free course from our friends at Subschool. It is actually not so much about substitute teaching, but just being a substitute, going to a school and what do you do? And there's videos from other subs like, I don't know what to do about behaviors or what happens when there's no instructions. And so it's almost an extension of the conversations we had at orientation. And then our BrightBee photo contest is all of the photos you saw for back to school that Chris was sharing over. And thank you to all of the contributions there. And so our winners for that honey raffle are Crystal is on the call, yay. Caitlin, Ima, Annika, Nick, and Aisha, who are not on this call. So congratulations, $50 honey is going to be added to a future paycheck. So thank you for contributing. When you see those types of things and promotions in future, it's very easy to enter. It's a raffle, so take advantage of that. In closing, I actually, if people are okay with sticking 1 minute over, I have a 1-minute clip to share from this TED Talk. It's an oldie but goodie. It's been around for over a decade now. But in this video, Rita Pearson talks about how every kid needs a champion and just what it feels like to be that person for a child. Let me make sure my sound is working. Yeah, we'll listen.
Can we stand to have more relationships? Absolutely. Will you like all your children? Of course not. And you know your toughest kids are never absent. Never. You won't like them all, and the tough ones show up for a reason. It's the connection, it's the relationships. And while you won't like them all, the key is they can never, ever know it. So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much. Can we?
So last week, Chris asked our internal operations team, what do you do if you have a stressful day? And sometimes going to clips like this that just remind us the why is grounding on those hard assignments, that tough relationship, just being a champion for that child. So hope you can take that with you as you go into your next assignments. Super appreciate you all being here, and thank you for letting me go a minute over. If you are available, we still have a lot of opportunity to connect in our upcoming Hive Hangout, which will be around this time, both morning and PM options for next week. And California Bees, check out those social events. Keep checking for new assignments in your Hive, and thank you for getting to join live. Everybody else is going to be listening to the recording. So we're really here because of you, and so appreciative for all the work that you do on a daily basis that you say yes to. If anybody has a personal question, feel free to stick around. I'm happy to answer that. But if not, have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and evening. And thank you, Chris, Laura, and Michael, and Shannon, if she's still here, for being our guest hosts.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
See ya.